So that's actually a fruit. And what people do is they just pick it up and they chew on it after a meal. Actually, it tastes really good. Hi friends, here are the top 10 healing spices for health. Now let's rapid fire in less than 1 minute the benefits of eating these spices if you prepare and use these spices correctly. You can, number 1, reduce your blood sugar. Number 2, reduce inflammation. Number 3, increase your immunity. Number 4, reduce your cold symptoms. Number 5, reduce your headaches. Number 6, reduce other areas of pain. Number 7, increase your memory as well as your reaction time. Number 8, improve your gut microbiome. Number 9, you will increase your gut integrity. And number 10, you can reduce harmful pathogenic germs in your gut. But you need to be careful, as not all spices are created equal. And if you cook them the wrong way, they may lose their benefit. So let's talk about these 10 spices that I eat daily, how to use them, and why I have my whole family sprinkling spices every day for every meal. No spice video is complete without mentioning turmeric. This is the most researched spice, period. If you have joint pains, undergoing radiation, have abnormal blood sugars, if you're overweight, if you have inflammation in your gut, or if you're worried about your DNA mutating, you should really learn about turmeric. Now, turmeric contains curcumin or curcuminoids, even the powdered kind. And those exert powerful anti-inflammatory effects shown to repair DNA from people who actually were poisoned with arsenic. Now, you should really know about arsenic because arsenic is in your food and in your water. Arsenic is a natural mineral in nature and contaminates soil and water and potentially the air you breathe in when you drive your car or if you live or drive next to people driving their cars. It's even worse during volcanic eruptions or mining. If you live in the city or countryside, besides fossil fuels, insecticides, herbicides, glass manufacturing, electronics manufacturing, paint manufacturing, as well as paint themselves, metal adhesives, wood preservatives, paper, textile, pigments, and ammunition, they all use arsenic. Arsenic is also used as a feed additive and in the pharmaceutical industry. Are you a smoker or do you live with a smoker? Well, that person is inhaling arsenic and sharing some with you. Arsenic surrounds all of us. I have a personal friend who is an avid construction worker, loves remodeling his house all the time, and he used his home as a professional outlet to print professional signs. He never took any precautions with the paints and the other chemicals that he was touching and inhaling. He's literally my age and he has dementia. I really don't know if it's from arsenic, but I know man-made chemicals are all toxic, whether they color our walls, they color our toys, or they color our foods. Some will say arsenic is all natural and we are all exposed to tiny amounts. The goal for arsenic is not like money. We should not be collecting it. I want to be exposed to the least amount of arsenic possible. So I go out of my way to avoid certain foods and filter my water. And when you blindly eat and drink contaminated water and food, you may be exposing you and your family to arsenic. In the 1990s, Unicef promoted shallow tube wells in Bangladesh to bring clean water to their people. However, they were unaware that the water was contaminated with arsenic. The water looked great, and that's the problem. Arsenic is invisible. So millions of people from Bangladesh, they suffered arsenic poisoning, arsenicosis, from drinking the clean water that was naturally contaminated with arsenic. It was groundwater. It was a national health crisis. It was actually an international health crisis. They forgot to test their water. Have you tested your drinking water? Now, there are different forms of arsenic. Inorganic, anorganic. Inorganic is a carcinogen. There is really no acceptable amount. Inorganic forms contaminate water, expedited by industry. So if you use well water, then you should test that water for arsenic. There's really no way to avoid water if you want to live. The average person needs to roughly drink at least 2 liters or half a gallon a day of water. But if it's hot, or if you're losing more water from breathing harder, sweating more, if you have diarrhea or urinating more, or if you're healing from a burn or wound, you need more water. And we should all make sure that our water is filtered. You shouldn't rely on your government to do that, as sometimes they make mistakes. Organic forms are found in seafood and rice. Hence, I avoid eating seafood and rice because I don't want to collect arsenic. But I understand rice is a staple grain around the world. And the good news is there are ways in which you can reduce the arsenic in your rice. And I'll be happy to share some of that with you later on. When you eat turmeric daily, it can't take away the arsenic, but it can help your body repair the damaging effects, the oxidative stress done by the invisible arsenic in your environment. Now, one molecule in turmeric, curcumin, is known for its strong antioxidant properties, which can help neutralize the free radicals generated by arsenic exposure. This reduces some of the oxidative stress, as well as the cellular damage caused by arsenic. Arsenic exposure can trigger inflammation in the body, and this can increase your risk of skin, lung, bladder, and kidney cancer. Curcumin has been studied for its anti-inflammatory effects, which appears to help mitigate some of the inflammation associated with arsenic poisoning. Arsenic is primarily metabolized in the liver, and curcumin supports the liver to help the liver in its attempt to detoxify. Curcumin also has prebiotic effects, promoting the growth and activity of your largest immune organ, your gut microbiome. And on top of that, it actually improves your intestinal integrity to prevent the translocation of harmful bacteria from the gut into your bloodstream. And in addition, turmeric and the curcumin in it has been shown to have antimicrobial activity against certain pathogenic strains of bacteria and fungi. After you eat turmeric or curcumin, it doesn't really last very long because your liver metabolizes it very quickly. Maybe it lasts for about a couple of hours. And hence, people who pair spices like turmeric with black pepper or ginger or cumin or even cinnamon, basically they're eating curry. These other spices inhibit liver enzymes from breaking down your turmeric. When you eat turmeric or curcumin, most of that is fed to your gut microbiome, as it is very difficult to absorb. And you can enhance its absorption by heating turmeric to break down its cellular matrix and mixing it with some cooking oil, or you can use bromelain. Bromelain is found in pineapple core, and it increases the absorption of curcumin. Bromelain is really not one molecule, but a mixture of proteolytic enzymes. And bromelain works synergistically with turmeric in several ways to enhance the solubility and stability of curcumin in the digestive tract. Bromelain helps to break down proteins that could interfere with curcumin absorption. It aids in the distribution of curcumin throughout the body, allowing it to reach targeted tissues more effectively. And lastly, it actually supports digestion as well as your gut health, potentially improving the overall absorption of many other nutrients, including curcumin. And this is why I don't like to megadose curcumin supplements, as you can actually increase kidney stones and stimulate the gallbladder to contract. So instead, I take a turmeric extract with bromelain. And if you want to know what I take, I have a link in the show notes below. Now, a great way to add turmeric in your food is to add it in your soups, sprinkle it onto whatever you're eating, whether you're sauteing or stir frying, or you can add it to flour before you make your dough, or I just simply sprinkle it in my water. And my goal is to get 1/4 teaspoon daily of turmeric. Now, I understand not everybody can eat turmeric, and some people, they get reflux, or some people are truly allergic. And that's really just too bad, but there are other spices that they can consider eating, like number 2, ginger. So when you're in the store, grab some ginger, either fresh or powdered, your choice. The fresh ones are found in the aisle where you're going to find turmeric. And the powdered ones are either in your spice aisle, where you're going to find turmeric spice, or you can find it in a capsule in your supplement aisle. I take ginger before I ride in anything moving me, or I know if I'm going to eat something that's going to mess up my tummy. Ginger contains gingerol, a bioactive compound with potent anti-inflammatory properties. It works by inhibiting the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines that can make you feel bad. It's been found to be effective in managing inflammation associated with osteoarthritis and muscle soreness and migraine headaches. Now, I bet you have probably suffered one of these conditions sometime in your life. And instead of reaching for the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs that can cause gastrointestinal issues like stomach pain, ulcers, bleeding, or even fluid retention, or increasing your blood pressure, or messing up with your kidneys and potentially fatal cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes, you may want to just try and 1/8 teaspoon of ginger powder with water. Now, in college, I had a friend who would get really bad migraines along with menstrual cramps. And unfortunately, she ended up getting a hysterectomy but she never tried ginger. I personally take ginger for motion sickness. Sitting in a moving vehicle either rocks me to sleep or it makes me puke. And ginger has been shown to reduce all kinds of reasons to get nauseous, from cars to chemotherapy to pregnancy. And my dad, he made me drink super concentrated ginger tea as a child whenever I got a cold. And I never missed a day of school from first grade to college. He never gave me antibiotics. I never got any pain meds, decongestants, cough suppressants, or antihistamines. I didn't even know those things existed until I showed up at the student health center in college because I had massive, severe allergies, basically hay fever. And at that point, I had stopped drinking ginger. Now, at the time, I really didn't believe that my dad's ginger tea was helping me. But the more I read about ginger, the more I realize this is an ancient medicinal herb. And that's probably why I suffered so badly from severe allergies in college. Now, although it's safe to eat, even when you're pregnant, you don't really want to megadose ginger as it can stimulate your uterus to contract. But imagine how much money insurance companies would save, as well as hospitals, if doctors actually prescribed ginger, or if you just took ginger on your own. Now, oftentimes, ginger is paired with garlic, which is number 3. Go to any Chinese restaurant, and some of the most fragrant dishes will have both garlic and ginger, but they need to be treated differently as garlic burns very easily. Now, garlic has been an ancient worldwide remedy for infections, colds, joint pains, as well as skin problems. And my dad, he loved garlic, and he would eat bowls of garlic raw daily. He tried to train me to do it, and he had me bite into a piece of raw garlic one night at dinner. And when that clove touched my lips, oh my goodness, it felt like it was on fire. And I'm not making it up, because garlic will literally cause chemical burns on your skin if you rub it on. So you don't want to do that. And the really bad ones are found in the medical literature. Because of that one bad experience, I refused to eat raw garlic as a child. But my mom, she still used it to season foods, and I loved it. I just ate up whatever she made. And as an adult, I had to train myself to eat garlic, because garlic is super healthy when you prepare it properly and when you eat it correctly. Now, I'm all about finding edibles that dampen the overactive immune system while increasing my own protective immunity. And garlic does that. You know those nagging common cold symptoms that make you stay home? Well, those who ate garlic were reported to suffer 60% less cold symptoms, 70% fewer days off, and had faster recovery. In fact, when you eat garlic, the anti-infective effects will permeate your respiratory tract, making it unpleasant for those unwanted germs. Now, deep frying is not the way to eat garlic, as high cooking temperatures above 185 degrees Fahrenheit, it's going to destroy the allicin. So those garlic oils may taste good, but they simply aren't healthy. That's why I enjoy my electric stove now to stir fry at lower temperatures. However, I know even stir frying and boiling will reduce the amount of beneficial allicin. That's why now I roast my garlic in its peel, and at the end of the dish, I add it to whatever I'm cooking so that my family can get the Allicin Immune Booster. Now, of course, raw is always best. And if I eat it raw, I have to use a garlic press or mince it really fine and mix it in with other foods. I still struggle to eat large chunks of garlic. And if you follow my other videos, you know I'm not a fan of salted fermented foods due to its association with elevating stomach cancer. And I grew up with parents that ate lots of different fermented foods, black 1,000-year-old eggs and sticky tofu cubes for breakfast. You know, I actually love those eggs, but my dad again would warn me, don't eat too much of it. It's not good for me. Both my parents were avid garlic eaters, which I'm glad, because garlic has been shown to reduce the risk of stomach cancers. Now, the heat of garlic is very different from the fire of cayenne peppers, which interact with your nerve cells. Cayenne pepper contains capsaicin, a compound responsible for its spicy taste and also its anti-inflammatory effects. Capsaicin is a well-known pain reducer, and it does so by binding to the TRPV1 receptors on sensory neurons, initially causing a burning sensation, but that leads to desensitization with repeated exposure. Now, this process reduces the neuron's ability to transmit pain signals. Additionally, capsaicin, it depletes substance P, a neuropeptide involved in pain transmission, and this further diminishes pain signals. Now, these mechanisms make capsaicin effective in topical treatments for arthritis, as well as neuropathic pain, as well as irritable bowel syndrome or chronic indigestion. And it doesn't take much because it's so spicy. 1.5 teaspoons of cayenne pepper appears to do the trick when it comes to your bowel. Now, companies, they make several over-the-counter creams to help relieve pain made from capsaicin. Now, this is the most underappreciated antioxidant spice. This is cloves. It's number 5. Have you ever had dental pain and tried some clove oil on it? Cloves are used in ancient Chinese and Indian Ayurvedic medicine to relieve toothaches and treat oral infections. And this medicinal practice dates back to at least 200 BC. Now, if you've ever had any dental work done, then the scent may be familiar, as clove contains eugenol, a compound with potent anti-inflammatory, anesthetic, and antiseptic properties. Dentists, they commonly use this because it is effective in numbing pain and killing bacteria. And it took almost 2,000 years for Western medicine to recognize and adopt the use of clove oil for dental applications. And over time, scientific studies confirmed the effectiveness of eugenol and clove oil, leading to its incorporation into modern dental practices and products like temporary fillings, mouthwashes, and dental cements. Now, clove is also an edible spice that you can buy in your supermarket spice aisle. I have a pharmacy friend who literally chews on clove every time he gets a cold. I gargle with clove water when I feel a sore throat coming. All right, I have a piece of paper here. I'm going to pour out a clove and show you with my cell phone what it looks like. And you'll notice it just looks like a piece of twig, right? It's not really anything miraculous, but it smells very fragrant. And when you put it in your mouth, it actually has a spice to it. So this is very medicinal. And I try to incorporate clove every day in my life because it basically has the most antioxidant power amongst all these spices that I have on my table. Clove is a great spice to pair with ginger as well as cinnamon. Number 6. Cinnamon is a spice you probably have in your pantry, but do you have the right cinnamon? One is fake and the other is true cinnamon. They have very different health effects. Cinnamon is derived from the inner bark of trees from the genus Cinnamomum. There are 2 main types of cinnamon: Ceylon cinnamon, often referred to as true cinnamon, and Cassia cinnamon, often considered to be the fake cinnamon. Now, Ceylon is native to Sri Lanka and southern India. It has a milder, sweeter, and more delicate flavor. It is lighter in color, thinner, and so when they sell you cinnamon sticks, it actually rolls into multiple layers when dried. But when you buy cinnamon from China, Indonesia, and Vietnam, you are buying Cassia cinnamon, which has a stronger, more pungent, and slightly bitter flavor. It will be darker in color. It's going to be thicker and tougher in the bark because it curls into a single layer when dried. And the problem with Cassia cinnamon is that it contains astronomical levels of coumarin, which causes liver damage and blood thinning. And coumarin is also a known carcinogen in animals. So if you eat Cassia cinnamon, 1/3 of a teaspoon can be a problem for the average adult, and the maximum amount is even less than 1/4 of a teaspoon for small children. And it doesn't take much to eat 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. And here's the difference. Cassia cinnamon has 5 to 10 milligrams of coumarin per gram, whereas Ceylon has such tiny amounts that it's really negligible. I mean, you would literally have to eat 2.2 pounds of Ceylon cinnamon to get the equivalent toxic dose of eating Cassia cinnamon for coumarin. Now, if you live in the UK, when you buy Ceylon cinnamon, it's just labeled cinnamon, whereas Cassia is labeled Cassia. But in the US, everything is just a jambalaya. Now here, I bought some cinnamon sticks. Let me show you here. I have it down here. Now you see I have 2 types of cinnamon down here. So this is darker and this is lighter. And the lighter one is actually the Ceylon cinnamon. The darker one is Cassia cinnamon. Now I'm going to flip it over, okay? And see how that one rolls on each other? And this one really has a difficult time because the bark is thicker. So this one's a fake cinnamon. This is the Cassia cinnamon, and then this one is the Ceylon cinnamon. Now, between the two, Ceylon cinnamon is preferred because of its lower coumarin content. So it's safer to consume regularly, even for children. You may have been told that you can lower your blood sugars if you add some cinnamon. And that's true if you're eating the Cassia cinnamon, as that blood sugar effect is really from coumarin. And this is another example where lowering your blood sugar can compromise your health because you're eating the liver toxin coumarin. And when you take out the coumarin, well, Ceylon cinnamon doesn't have that blood sugar lowering effect. But it's really just a modest effect. And I don't think it's worth killing your liver or thinning your blood to get that blood sugar effect. There are much better ways to safely lower your blood sugars, including taking turmeric, eating ginger, eating black cumin. There's so many other spices that you can add that can decrease inflammation as well as your blood sugar. Now, for years, I was really confused on how to safely pick ground cinnamon. And here's what I learned. Number one, I avoid those spices that don't have a country of origin labeled. And if it doesn't have that, I won't use it. Number two, if I'm buying cinnamon sticks, I look specifically to see if it's really a thick bark that makes a single roll, whereas I'm looking for a lighter bark that makes multiple rolls. And this is the one that I will use to cook, and this one I'll just use as an air freshener. By the way, I used to buy that Saigon cinnamon from Costco. Well, that's Cassia cinnamon. I wouldn't eat that. Okay, I know you've spent a lot of time with me, but do you have 3 more minutes? In 3 minutes, you can boost your mental performance with rosemary. Now, rosemary is a Mediterranean herb. It contains several antioxidants, including rosmarinic acid. And what you do is you take some rosemary, you pour it out, and you crush it in your hands, and you smell it, right? And if you do that for 3 minutes, it can perk you up and improve your test-taking skills. I wish I knew this as a student. Maybe I would have been a neurosurgeon. But imagine if you had fresh rosemary, how you can have this scent 24/7. So if you're going to be visiting your grandparents, maybe you can buy them a rosemary plant. Oregano is the next spice. It's also a Mediterranean spice that's rich in antioxidants, and it has anti-inflammatory properties. It is actually a mint, and it's sipped in teas to soothe sore throats and enjoyed with marinades, sauces, and salads. Now, I think of it like garlic. So when you have fresh oregano, it can actually cause chemical burns like a fresh garlic. And that's why when you're using essential oils, you need to be really cautious. Another Mediterranean plant is number 9, fennel. Fennel is actually tiny fruits that have a sweet anise-like flavor with hints of licorice. And people actually will chew on this fennel seed. Here, let me pour it out to show you. It helps to relieve things like painful periods as well as menopausal symptoms. It helps relieve indigestion. It even improves vaginal dryness and itching. And as you can imagine, fennel seeds, they have an estrogenic effect from several compounds, including one called anethole that can bind to estrogen receptors in the body. And I drank fennel tea when I was a new nursing breastfeeding mother to help me stimulate my milk production, and it actually worked. So let me pour some out to show you this little seed. All right, you see how the tiny seed, it looks like a sac, right? So that's actually a fruit. And what people do is they just pick it up and they chew on it after a meal. Actually, it tastes really good. I've eaten it breads and other bakery items as well. Number 10 is my favorite spice, black cumin or Nigella sativa. It has seeds that are small, crescent-like, and black. And at first, it has a really strong, pungent odor. See, this is little tiny bits. I already ground it so that you can't really see the original seed. It's just hard to buy, so I had to order this online. Many cultures actually eat this, and they add it to their breads, their curries, their stews, or salad. And this spice actually pairs very well with coriander, brown cumin, turmeric, fennel, and garlic. And it's often used in blends like garam masala. It is a powerful antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and immune-boosting spice. It's been used for weight loss, blood sugar control, thyroid conditions, and it's my personal favorite. I take this daily to fight inflammatory toxins in our food, which, by the way, I promised to tell you about arsenic. So the way to reduce arsenic in your rice is you want to rinse the rice several times until the water is clear. After that, when you're boiling your rice, the first boil, you want to then dump that water and add in fresh water. And by doing just those simple steps, you can actually reduce 60% of the arsenic in your rice. Now, it's even better if you actually started with rice that was lower in arsenic. And if you want to learn how to find those kind of rice, watch the next video.